All right, we are live. Hello, 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 everybody. A new week. Okay, so today we are going to be discussing sacrifice. Yeah, probably one of the hardest things when you go to change your life, when you go to reach new goals or start a new venture. Sacrifice it's been a tough one for me to grasp. Basically, becoming aware of what's in your life that's not serving you and having the balls, for lack of a better term, to sacrifice them, because some of these things could be people, and some of these things could be your favorite TV show. Some of these things could be, things that you've had in your life for a really long time that are either wasting your money, not good for your mindset, wasting your time, and hindering you from actually moving forward or making the right decisions to take you further. So yeah, that's our subject today, is sacrificing the short term for the long term. To live a life that you're not very satisfied of right now. Well, I mean, you become satisfied of it, but to reach your goals. That didn't really feel right to me. It's not about not being happy in the now. It's about changing your lifestyle, and it can be very, very tough. Kat, do you want to say anything, jump in, or do you want me to just carry on? Are you biting
I've got millions of things to say, but carry on.
Okay, well, just jump in anytime. I didn't even take notes this morning, nothing. I am just going to say it because this is something that has been a big struggle for me. I grew up in a lifestyle that you live paycheck to paycheck, you go about your business, you hang out with people who love to complain just like you do, you settle, and you go on day by day. And so this was a big hurdle for me to get through, a big one, to realize that there could be people in my life that I've been through this, that I need to distance myself from, that I'm not much of a TV watcher, but I know that when I'm down and out, that is what I turn to, is TV. And there's much, much, much healthier things to turn to, like audiobooks and reading books, meditation, things like that, when you're just not feeling yourself. Usually we like what Kat says, is crawl under the table. I love it when she says that, because that's literally like what I would do, is I would just hide out, eat junk, and waste my days away when I'm not feeling good. I have no energy, and then that just makes it worse, right? When we take those decisions, it just makes it worse. It just prolongs us from climbing out of it. So we have two choices. We can grow, or we can be actively growing or basically dying while we live. And in order to grow, sacrifice is one of the things that we have to be willing to do. And it doesn't even have to be looked at in a negative way. When you hear the word sacrifice, it might pull on some negative strings, but overall it can be a beautiful thing, because once you start doing it, the way you begin to feel is unimaginable, ways that you didn't know you could feel. And I know for myself, I go on these kicks where I want to watch a show that I've been told about or whatever. And if I watch like 2 or 3 episodes of a show, I feel like shit. I feel like I haven't been productive. And why is that? When we're watching something and we're consumed by it, I don't even it's enjoyable, right? But then afterwards, it's just not. We don't feel good about ourselves. And it's been a big sacrifice for me to notice what I do during my day and pinpointing what I'm doing that's actually wasting time, and then working towards getting rid of them. And you can't get rid of it all at once. You have to take it slowly, one thing at a time. Start in the morning with the morning routine. Whatever you do in the morning that isn't very good for you, like looking at your phone first thing in the morning, then that's the first sacrifice that needs to be made, and something else has to be put in its place that is healthier and that will promote your growth. Yeah, go ahead, Kat. I will.
Yes, going back to that sacrifice. Yeah, there are a lot of things, but you're already one step ahead, if not two or three, of maybe some people that are listening and that haven't, even cottoned on to all this yet. And I was just, it's very funny because I've been where you're at, thinking, oh my God, I can't be doing this, can't be doing that. But one of the things I used to love to do is when the kids were smaller, is just watch the Disney films with them, or the cartoons or whatever. And one thing would be that we'd watch it in a foreign language, so we'd have to watch it in English, no subtitles, no nothing. So we could sing along, we'd learn, we'd be intelligently doing something, and I would feel less guilty, and then I could help them, sing the song or whatever it was. Like Thomas the Tank Engine had millions of songs, or millions of intricacies, or different things. Like they had, well, for Thomas the Tank Engine, for example, they had tracks, leaves on the track. Having lived in England and gone through that, maybe you have the same in Canada. It's quite foreign to us here in France, and so these little things that you can explain to kids. So to me, sitting down and watching a film with the children has always been a part of quality time, for the goodness we draw out of it afterwards. Now, I guess because we weren't just sort of sitting there idly watching whatever it is. Unfortunately, the kids grow up and decide what they want to watch, and then you are sitting there watching whatever it is, and there's nothing you can sort of, you try and make this quality time. You're sitting there, like you say, what the fuck am I doing? So you sit there, and although you're telling them, because the thing with millennials these days, they're not, some of them aren't even millennials, but anyway, is they're sitting watching telly. They're on their computer and they've got their phones, right? So they're really multitasking. So there's no room for conversation about whatever they were watching afterwards. So like, which device, Mum? I'm like, what? So it's kind of hard to juggle with millennials, but you try and do that. And then so I went past this, and I still try and say to them, you can only do one thing at a time, right? So we're watching telly, we'll just watch telly, or we do that when we're watching a film or something. And even though some of the times I would feel like, God, this is such a waste. What am I doing here? I should be doing productive something. I had to just calmly remind myself, this is, quality time I get with the kids. They will never be that age that they are at that particular day, at that particular time. And it goes by so fast. So I got to, chop that out, and that's quality time. So in a way, sometimes you can't, but I'm not, it's not like watching my favorite TV show at 8 p.m. every night, beer in hand, which I used to do yonks ago. That's kind of, there's no quality to that whatsoever, because it's just to blot out the actual things that you're not doing. So you're filling it up with alcohol, rubbish in your brain. I used to call that brain dead time, actually, because, it was time. Like when my husband used to run his company, it was like, oh, let's go and have some brain dead time. Just sit in front of the telly. We'd given up drinking by that time, but, we'd sit in front of the telly and watch just, 2 hours of nothing, absolute rubbish. But that would be constructive nothingness again. So yeah, it's a path or a journey that you're on, just to discover that this, what actually is waste time, or what are you sacrificing, and how perhaps if you, like I wanted to stay at home with the kids and have this TV time. They have to watch Disney or Thomas the Tank or whatever, they've got to learn somehow. You can't teach them everything. You're not Thomas the Tank Engine for starters, or Bob the Builder or whatever it was. But, so it's, you just try and make it as educational as possible, so that's what I do now when I find myself on the TV. I try and get, marketing ideas always come to me, or, oh, I hadn't seen it that way. Or I try and, analyze somebody else's point of view to make that sacrifice worth something. But that's, again, a little bit further down. You have to realize, for starters, this is time wasting. I've got to sacrifice this to, read a book. And yeah, initially it's really hard, to sort of get out of that zone of comfort, to just sit there with a bag of chips and beer in hand, or whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, like one thing for me that really struck me hard is there was always this, you know how we all get these phrases that we grow up with, like money doesn't grow on trees, and then it builds this belief in us, you know, that we live through this belief for however long until we become aware of it and change it. And one of them for me was there's not enough hours in the day. And that is still like, I'm working on that right now, but there is more than enough hours in the day, because everybody who has conquered their lives, no matter what their circumstances are, no matter anybody that you want to talk about or think about, anyone who is actually the master of their lives has the same time as us, has the same time as everybody. It's what we do with it. And it's every 10 minutes, every minute that goes by, what we're doing with that time that actually makes the difference. And it's when you actually look at it, when you actually make yourself look at what you're doing, become aware throughout the whole day exactly what you're doing. You know, are you being busy or are you being productive? And this has also been a big lesson for me. It's really just, it's changing your entire lifestyle is what it is. And it's not easy. It's a journey. Like Kat said, it is a journey. And then regarding what Kat was saying about the TV and watching with the kids, yeah, I totally relate to that. I love cuddling up on the couch with Dante and watching a movie. The only thing is with him is he's, you know, he doesn't sit through a whole movie or anything like that. But either way, it can also be a time. I'm actually glad you said that, Kat, because it's not putting a negative spin completely on doing something like that, because it doesn't always have to be.
No. And yeah, I had several of them watching films, and I had to sort of squeeze in on the couch, the canapé, sofa, whatever you call it, you know, which is quite fun. But yes, yeah, always try and make it positive. Now, a lot of things that we're saying actually could be treated with a program a friend of ours has done, Kaizen. I'm sorry, I just think this program is amazing, because every time I get into fuddle duddle mode or anything, I just bring out the Kaizen, and I'll put the link in if I may, because I think it does help a lot of people with a lot of stuff. It helped me so much, but coping with all this. And this very recently I started, well, I zipped through, goodness. I forget its name now, Michael A. Singer, the Surrender Experiment. And I found out that I've actually, you know, I have lived through some of these things where I've just surrendered to life and it's come about. So I'm listening much more to that now. And it's true that when you listen to that, you find that you have nothing to do all day until, you know, something comes to you and you're like, oh yeah, I'll just do it. And then you go off and do it. It was quite funny because it's been pouring with rain. We had a wee bit of sun just before the call, and I thought I should be out doing this, that, and the other. And so I was going to say, can we do it a bit later? And I thought, no, just do this. And then as you were talking, it was hailing outside. And I thought, oh my God. So that's just, you know, you've got to learn to trust yourself and be intuitive and just go with the flow. You really must go with the flow. Never, well, it's easier than done. But yet again, the other day I was listening to the flow and I was, you know, blah, blah, something's happened. I thought, oh God, okay, just let go and let's just do this. And I hadn't even finished saying what I should let go to, surrender to, and do, that the guy was on the phone. The phone was going. My idea was just doing this, and the guy was on the phone. I could just do it immediately. It was like, oh my God, you know, a bit like my shoes. It's the same sort of thing. It's constantly happening. So it's very wild, but I do believe meditation helps a lot with this. But yes, some meditation is something I don't know. I'm not having all these experiences everyone else seems to be having, so I got to let go. So I'm trying to let go of everything so that, you know, I can be free to do whatever during my meditations. But it's yeah, everyone always has some you know, steps to go. We're all on a path, on a journey, you know. We're all on this journey, but everyone is, you know, depending on where they are on their journey, and it's incredibly exciting. I find it's at the beginning of the talk, when you started talking, I thought, God, yes, you know, I sacrificed. I had a huge house with a huge garden, a lovely car, and you know, 20 minutes away from the ocean, an hour away from the ski slopes. You know, I mean, I had it all, and I had to walk away from that into a what? Into a bedsit where we're 5 of us, 10 of them in a room. It's like exaggeration, but that's what it feels like. And but the joys I get from that, the sacrifice was nothing compared to the joys I get now. Now I have my own car that I got myself. It has nothing on, and it's color I really, really wanted, and da 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 da. So it's the sacrifice there was huge at the time. It felt really, really huge, but it's nothing now. Absolutely nothing. But,
That's so true. It feels like sacrifice at first because you're moving out of your comfort zone and you're changing things that you've been used to for probably a lot of years. But once you do actually change it, you start to feel like, wow, I was actually sacrificing before. And yeah, Kat, as you were talking, I was just writing a few things down just to kind of, before we hop off, I want to make this as clear cut as possible and maybe just give you a tip or two of how to kind of start becoming aware of it. And so I kind of broke it down into 3 areas of sacrifice in your lives. So one is relationships or influence. You can look at it one or 2 ways. In relationships or influence, the relationships in your life, and the way you're going to know yourself whether this is a healthy relationship or not if the people or the person in question, when you sit down and you really, really think about it and be honest with yourself. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, so she was talking about relationships, and it's true. You have to sit down, and the minute I realised that the relationship was in fact with my husband, you struggle with that. Obviously, it's not something you can accept, like a friend who's not really a friend, who's in fact manipulating you or doing something that you might, or you can always say, oh no, she's not, she means well and everything. But deep down, I think Brittany's quite right. And, if you can sit down and at your core value self, really talk to yourself and say, well, is this, how is this situation? And sometimes you do. I mean, I adored my husband. I really did. But, it was a relationship that was very toxic. So when you sat down, you see it. It's not easy to do, but it's something you have to, for your own well-being, you have to sort of sacrifice that relationship to better yourself. Obviously, you try and change it before, if it's such a major relationship. But 27 years is 27 years, and so if you've just got like a friend who you've known maybe for a long time, but that 5-6 years is nothing compared to 27 years, someone you grew with. So sacrifice is very important in relationships. Totally right, Brittany. Totally right.
Yeah, and it's the toughest one. It's the toughest one because people will suck you in, and you don't want to be rude, you don't want to be harsh, but you have to create distance for yourself, because if you're not at your best, you're no good for anybody. And the way you can tell is just your energy. When you're around these people or this person, just be really, really honest with yourself. What's your energy like? Do you feel like you're inspired? Do you feel like they support you? Do you feel like they're always talking and working in your best interest? Or do you feel like when you leave their company or their energy, do you feel heavy and down? Do you feel negative? You have to ask yourself these questions and be real with yourself so that you can take the necessary steps to improve. And then you get to work with putting distance between you and that person. And that person, as soon as you start changing and growing and making these different decisions, they're either going to stay in your life and follow suit, or they're just going to slowly disappear. And that's just the way it works. You just have to have that strength every day to make those decisions. When you get that call, maybe you're busy and you just got to do what you got to do to take care of yourself. If this is the path, if you've chosen a path of growth. And that's your influence, right? The influence is everything. And then our daily activity, Kat and I did talk about this a little bit. The daily activity is just the small things. just the small things like watching TV, you know, like not like what Kat was saying, like if you're intentionally watching television with your family, you have a family night where you all get together, have popcorn, watch TV, those are valuable times. But if you're just using it to shut your brain off and you don't even really remember what happened in the show after it's over, then you need to be honest with yourself about that too, and do whatever it takes to get rid of your television if that's what you have to do, not your TV or anything. Maybe just have it so you can only watch movies, or you can only watch things, you know, maybe you don't need cable. It's questions that you have to ask yourself to make the decisions you need to make. And it's not
That's
only
how we started, actually. Sorry to cut you there, but that's how it started for us. We had a storm and the antennae went, and so we had only DVDs and films and stuff we could download. No streaming at the time, so that was really helpful for us.
A blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that's interesting? Yeah. So, and it's not just TV. That's just a really easy example. What do you need, love?
Nothing. I give you that.
Okay. So it's just an easy example to use TV, right? I know for myself, there's tiny little things that I have changed in my life, my daily activity over the last 3 years, and it can be anything. I would recommend is just becoming very, very aware throughout your day. Either use Kaizen, like Kat was saying, and so you can really look at your day and it's broken down by the minute, or just write a list down. Keep a little notebook with you throughout your day and take notes of what you're doing, and just become real with yourself. You know, like even in fitness, and when we're trying to eat better and we're like tracking what we're eating and stuff, there's always that little part of you that says, well, you know, I don't really need to track this, and then I don't have to be real with myself. I can just kind of forget that I ate it and let it go, and then you're scot-free. But if you're not going to be real and harsh with yourself, then this journey is going to be a lot longer than it needs to be. So as soon as you can look yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself and be real with yourself, whether it hurts or not, you're going to move a lot quicker through making the sacrifices you need to make in order to achieve the growth that you're looking for. So that was your daily activity, looking at your day and looking at what you need to cut out so that you can fill it with productive, healthy activity. And then long-term, short-term, we talked about this too. Like when I first joined the SFM, I had to make a decision. I was in a really bad place in my relationship. I was already highly, highly dependent financially on my spouse. I had a little one, and I had to make a choice. I only had so much money and so much credit that to my name that was mine. And I sacrificed that to join this community and have this support and have this healthy influence and have these people in my life and the education, the courses. Okay, 1 second. Okay, yeah, you can sit on my lap. And so that was a sacrifice I had to make. I had to look at it and say, I need to sacrifice my short-term income, like how the quality of life that I live right now, for my long-term, for the life that I want to live. It's really, don't do that, please, mind your manners. It's really easy to stay in our comfort zones and keep going that way. And that's when we're faced with sacrifice and we have to make those decisions, we have to intentionally make the one that is hard to make. So that could be anything, and that could just be pleasures as well. You know, maybe you can't sit here if you can't mind your manners, okay? So it's your music, but you can't play it in here. If you want to play it, you have to go to the office. So another one is pleasures. Like if you do, you know, there's every weekend you go out and drink, or every weekend you're go out, do this, do that. Maybe that's something that you need to give up, and that's something that you're going to have to face. Maybe your friends are going to be hard on you, and they're going to tease you and make fun of you and be even upset that you're ditching them for the weekend or whatever it might be. But these are things that you have to be honest with yourself about and decide what it is you truly want and what sacrifices have to be made in order to get them. So, yeah. Oh, I thought I was muted.
No, sorry, I had to mute because the dog was barking and love. Totally agree. I don't think there's much I can add to that, except it's very well said. Very well said.
So what do you think, Kat? Any closing? I think that's
pretty much a brilliant way of ending it.
Okay. Well, we will see you all again next week. And thank you for being with us. Bye.